And you're back in New Zealand, and I have seen that you've been away for 16 years. How often do you get back, and have you enjoyed your trip?
Yeah, so yeah, been actually 17 years now, mate. Coming up 17
Wow.
years, been away, and the last time I was back in New Zealand was 7 years ago. So I
Wow.
came back 2017, I think it was, and did a bit of CPD with a few of the Super Rugby teams. And I think just having three kids and just the length of the trip, it's just kind of haven't got, it's too expensive and it's tough to get back. And our off season is May, June, which is not great in New Zealand. So it ends up not being really a holiday. So we're in a unique situation now where obviously with the sad loss of three teams during the Six Nations, we can have a bit of a break. And there's the Prem Cup, which is like a development competition.
Mm.
So there was an opportunity for me to get back and take one of my young boys back. And it's the first time he's been back since nearly 10 years ago. So so we took the opportunity. So just based up here at Mangawhai Heads, which is a lovely part of the
Oh,
world. And yeah, I can. I mean, that's one thing. Like, I don't know about if Kiwis like take it for granted. They probably don't, but even the first few days is like, man, it's just so beautiful. And
yeah.
like London's great, but you come back here and it's the beach, the water, just everything, the quality of life. So it's been really good, mate, and a bit of fishing and bit of
Yeah.
surfing and things like that. So lovely, lovely time.
How have you adjusted to that? Because I've been to London and typical overcast grey. I
Yeah.
managed to get out to Harlequins. You weren't there at the time. You were with England, but like you've been there, like you said, 17 years. Like big difference, eh? Living and just life.
Yeah, massive difference, mate. I think it's one of those things you acclimatise to it, you get used to it. We've got a new defence coach from Australia, Jason Gilmore, and we say it to
Nice,
him
Billy.
as you'll get used to it. The winter lasts for it seems to last forever, but yeah, mate, you acclimatise and just become part of your routine. And like I know everyone thinks about London, and especially in winter, is it's grey all the time, but it is really beautiful. It can be, albeit cold, and you got to put up with the bad weather like you guys do here. And it is really nice, but it's for me, it's just a different pace of life. For example, we came back here, and my young fellow was hungry off the plane, so we went to McDonald's on a weekday at 1 o'clock, and there was no one in there. And I was like, if this was London, that would
Yeah.
be rammed. You know what I mean? There's just more people. Everything happens really fast. Everyone's in a hurry to do everything, which you kind of
Yep.
get used to. So no, it is a nice place, and obviously you've got Europe a hop, skip, and a jump away, which is fantastic. Some of the places the family's been, you just don't get. It's not accessible to Kiwis, which is great for us.
You mentioned Gilly there. A lot of our listeners will know Gilly from Australia. I was lucky enough to watch him coach Australia under 20s. I went in for a week of PD with them, and man, energy and detail, and he knows exactly what he wants out of his defence. Right? How's he getting on? How's he started with Quins?
Yeah, really good. I think the challenge for Gilly was coming to a club that traditionally just didn't really have an appetite to defend. That's probably
Yep.
fair. Quinn's, very, very attack minded, which is great for me as an attack coach.
Yeah.
There's pressures that come with that. But we were always, we'll score more than you. And that was the kind of mantra, and that was the belief that we could do it. And at times we would, even when
Mm.
our defence was really poor, we're still making European semis last year, winning the league off the back of our attack. So, but it's not sustainable. If you want to be consistent around winning trophies and being competitive at the top end, you had to improve the defence. So, Gilly's been brilliant. He's come in and made it really clear, some real clear principles. And like you say, the energy around it and the clarity that he gives the lads. There's been a real shift for us around our defence, and hopefully complements our attack and gives us a little bit of an all court game, which we've needed.
Yeah, team identity. So you played for the Blues, and I know you've just been into the Blues. What were you
Yeah.
doing there? And I guess it'd be awesome to hear a little bit more around like what you've when you were with the Blues, what you felt around team identity, what you've seen with Vern Cotter. He's come in and he's had a huge shift. There's one of title, and then just go back to circle back to that Harlequins way, because you guys take pride in all out attack, and we're different. We try to be a different style of team. So, yeah, big question.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, took the opportunity to come in and see the Blues. It's been, obviously it's been a while since I first went back there, and I think it was interesting to speak. I mean, it's got a fantastic coaching group. Really
Mm.
good coaching group. Yeah, spent a bit of time with Dan Hallingar, who
Oh,
Ice Craig was there, McGrath, Tito Fisher's there, Fiki's there. Some real quality, some quality people, and I think probably before last year talking to Fiki, that was, I think kind of everyone was having a crack at the Blues and, kind of no backbone and, like kind of easy rollover and, you can get them when the pressure comes on. And I think Vern came in and really, really changed that. It was fascinating to watch. He's very, very old school. I would
mm.
say it's quite different to a lot of the Super Rugby teams, I would imagine, around the country. I haven't been to them, but certainly a lot different around, a lot of the European clubs, I would say. Maybe a little bit more his time in French. There's a lot of instinctive play. There's a lot of just there's detail, but it's more really play what you see around the power game that they have. And I think he changed that mindset last year and probably caught the competition on the hop a little bit.
Yeah.
And this year, I think probably teams are probably learning to cope with that a little bit, and they've got to find different ways around that. But certainly he's watching him on the training field, very old school, not afraid to give a bark when it's needed, demands standards, as all coaches do, but he does it in the Vern Cotter way, which is brilliant. um, and and again, like to answer your question, getting back to that identity, but allowing then that identity of the Blues to flow, allowing
Mm.
like the guys like Caleb Clark Bowden at the back, Harry to pull the strings, getting Rico on the ball, Tutu out there in wide channels and things like that. So waiting for those opportunities. So yeah, it was funny. I had a chat with Greg Feek, and he was talking about we were talking about the Quins Blues kind of similarities, and I was speaking about our DNA was all attack, and we needed to change the D. And he asked where it came from, and I think what we did really well. The year we won the league, 2019, 20, I think it was, when we had a big shift, was really tapping back into our ancestors, and looking actually what Quins stand for. And if you go back, a very short story, I won't go into too much detail, but Quins and Wasps were together. They were one club. I think it was Hampstead Heath, it was called.
Didn't
And
know
there
that.
was a group of the lads that wanted to play the game different, wanted to challenge themselves, wanted to play more rugby, wanted to throw the ball around. So basically, that then became two clubs. Wasps went one way, and Quins was then formed. Um, and so straight away, if you go all the way back to 1866 when the club was formed, there's a DNA around wanting to play rugby straight from there. Adrian Stoop then came in and played English rugby. He went from Quins and then into English rugby, and wanted England to play a different way. So he then try to promote this, wanting to play fast, wanting to play this high tempo type of rugby. People would come from up north and play and come down and play. And you look back all the way through, and a lot of these names I'm going to throw out there, like people won't know, but if you go back into the history, Waver Wakefield would come down from up north and added a bit of steel, but wanted to play rugby. People would come from overseas and want to play rugby, so they'd come to Quins and play this high tempo, free flowing rugby. So um, it's fascinating when you go back. So that's where the identity came from, and so I think we've really tapped back into that and really bought into the fact that that's us, that's who we are. Now, you you can't traditionally keep winning titles just on the back of that, so you have to add, sharpen your sword a little bit and add tools to the tool belts. Hence the us wanting to defend better and have a more detailed kicking game and all that kind of stuff, which we do have and which we have had in the past. But it really keeps us in check. It really keeps us when we do veer off a little bit. It's up to the powers to be and the guys that are in charge to bring us back on course and align us to the DNA, because that's what the club is, and that's what gets the best out of the players that you recruit and the coaches that you recruit, all aligned to this DNA model of what the club is.
I was gonna. That's you used the word recruit, and that's what I was about to ask you a question about. You got recruited, so you went over
Mm.
to Harlequins. Do you think that in those negotiations and convos with coaches, that was what they liked about you, was that flair and your attack mindset and your skill set to execute on that?
Yeah, I think so. I think certainly how they sold the club to me.
Mm.
You know, at that time there was a few clubs that I could have gone to. I think Leicester was one of them, which have been a very different identity, a way of playing. Very successful club, very famous club. Cardiff would have been another one, which would have been a little bit similar,
Right.
probably in the middle of the two. But they definitely sold the club in terms of, look, this is who we are. This is the way we want to play. We've got a young, ambitious group that's coming through. We basically need an experienced 10 that can come in and help organise and help allow these young kids to flourish, which was a great challenge for me. I thought that was a fantastic challenge at the time of my life. You know, being 28, still had some good footy in front of me.
Yeah.
Still felt that I could play and influence the game a lot. And I loved the challenge of the fact that this young group of English talent that wanted to play the game a different way to what the English up here were traditionally playing. And so that was part of that. And obviously we had a few changes, and then Conor O'Shea came in, and he really got back to really brought us back into that DNA. Really allowed us to play with no fear.
Yeah.
Took a lot of the burden and outcome based scenarios out of our hands, put it all onto him, and just said, "Boys, just go out and play. Go and play B Quins." And there was just a freedom that kind of unlocked everything. And then obviously we went on to win the league and the Amlin Cup a couple of years in a row. So it was fantastic to be part of.